Okay, so we're at Nutrition Farms in Applethorpe, and we're doing a whole series of segments. And what we're going to talk to today is about growing your own food and the importance of it. Now, I often describe the home garden as the ultimate wellness tool, and I'll elaborate on that. But before I do that, I'd like to introduce you to my partner, Claudia, or her nickname is Cloudy. And of course, our award-winning cider is called Love Cloud after Claudia. So Claudia is an accomplished chef. She's a very good regenerative farmer. We're planning to do quite a few things with nutrition farming on her grazing property, and we might go up there this afternoon if we get a chance, and talk about animal health supplements and how we can look after our animals more efficiently. And Claudia is also the business development manager for Nutrition Farms. There's 20 plus products that we've developed to exemplify the potential of value adding when you're trying to make some money out of farming. So I'll just explain what we've done here and what we've got happening here. We had a fire at the farm, a very costly one, $300,000 uninsured. And one of the many things, including 6 tractors that got destroyed, was a water tank beside the shed. We lost our packing shed and so forth, but we've rebuilt it all now. And we realised, or Claudia realised, that this was an opportunity to cut the top damaged half of the tank off and to make a wicking bed. And wicking beds are really cool. I mean, this bed that you're looking at has not had water in 2 weeks. And look at it, when we've had some really warm days. And Claudia is going to explain, because she made this, how you make a wicking bed. And of course, often it's done just in 1,000-litre shuttles. So the same principles that she'll describe apply to that 1,000-litre shuttle, which is very easy for people to do at home. My great mate Rob, who lives on the home farm, has got maybe 20 raised beds with everything conceivable grown and all of them done. He made them all at once in this wicking bed model. So Claudia, could you tell us a little bit about what happened here and introduce yourself?
Yes, Claudia Sibley. And as Graham already said, I'm his partner and privileged to be here, of course. We'll get straight into the wicking bed. So the principle is much the same as the IBC principle, because when you cut the IBC in half, you get like 2 halves, and it works out that you have 300 mils of gravel down in the bottom, and then a geomat in between, and of course you have to bury the filling pipe into the gravel, which I will explain some more, and then like the geomat and then the soil. So if we're looking into
So we'll just explain that. So 300, so it's a foot of gravel.
300 mils, yeah.
Yeah, we still talk feet.
No, we talk centimetres.
Yeah, Austrians, but for the Americans, it's a foot.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a foot of gravel, and then geomat, of course, is the landscaping fabric. So you're going to put that on top, and then you put some soil on top of that.
Yeah, so then with a really good soil mix, which Graham fixed up for me with Adrian, and that was probably about 12 months ago that we did that. And you need a little bit of time to settle and sort of percolate, the soil mix did. But anyway, yeah, so with the filling pipe, we've got 4-inch filling pipe here, and it goes all the way, just about all the way into the gravel, and it's got a corner and it goes all the way through the wicking bed, and we've drilled little tiny holes into it. I think it was probably a 3 mil hole, so we've got a 20 mil gravel in there. So that we didn't want the gravel to fill up the pipes at all. Yeah. It's very important, because if the holes fill up with little sand bits, then the water can't sort of go through there. And
so that pipe's got another pipe joined on.
Yeah, so this pipe goes down into here. It's got a corner on it, and it goes all the way through the middle.
And that's a perforated pipe, so that you can have the thing work. The water can spread out.
Yeah, so it's drilled holes into it.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, and it's got an end cap on it. It's got an end cap on it.
Yeah.
And so this is where we fill. This is our filler pipe. When I have little plants, like little baby lettuce, of course, they need to be loved up, as they do with our root and shoot and platform and all the goodies that I like to put on there. I'm addicted to this stuff now. So, and then they are planted and watered in, and they might have been watered in another once or twice. And then I basically haven't watered it. So the watering happens through here, and I can't get the cap off here. But the hose just goes in here, and what your level of water is that when it's full, this is our overflow pipe. And the overflow, like when it is overfull of the 1 foot in the bottom, and then it's exactly this. I know that this is at the right level because I built it, and so that would need watering, I would think now, because I haven't watered it for 2 weeks.
So we can see that pipe that tells us if it's full or not.
Yeah, this is where the level of gravel is.
Is that 1 foot or 30 centimetres that we talked about?
Yeah. So the water needs to be full in the gravel up to the geomat, and then the soil itself wicks up the moisture into It's
such a cool idea in the sense that you basically set up that system that the plant roots can then draw from that reservoir of water that's sitting in the gravel. And you can see 2 weeks and heat waves, a couple of days have been, certainly in this, down where we are it has been, and no water, and they've just done the job beautifully.
So if I were to hop in here, I like hopping in here because I know this is not planted up. So we could dig in here and literally
Moisture's
2
right
inches,
there.
2 inches down, and I haven't watered this for 2 weeks. 2 inches down, we've got the moisture there. It's beautiful, smells gorgeous.
Great.
I just love it. And yes, so we've got some lettuce and some butter beans, some bunching leeks,
lot of parsley.
rocket, parsley, little bit of kale, celery. That was pot bound, and we got it almost given, and Graham put his magic hands on it and planted it all up. A few beetroot. They've been in here for a bit, but I'm going to pull this one up. I don't know what it's going to be like. Nice little beetroot.
Oh, good.
It's a target beetroot, and yeah, all natural and beautiful.
Yeah, so the concept, we'll just talk for a moment about the idea of growing your own food and the importance of it. I mean, obviously, it gives you an opportunity to create nutrient-dense food with forgotten flavours, and of course, most importantly, with extended medicinal qualities. You know, recognising that the founder of modern medicine made the comment that is proven so profound: let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. And I don't think there's anything much more important as a wellness tool than the capacity to grow your own food. And I need to explain that story in more depth. Now, the first of them is it's going to be chemical free. And we do need to recognise the scale of chemical use in food production, particularly vegetables. Most vegetable farms, conventional vegetable farms that I deal with, or many of them, the growers don't eat their own food. They have their own veggie plot at the back for the family. There's lots of chemicals used on food. You know, there's the thing of minimum residues, but there's a whole bunch of issues that aren't discussed. One of them is called the cocktail effect. No research at all, except for one study I'm familiar with, about what happens when you mix 11 chemicals, residues on a snow pea together. Well, you get new chemicals. And the one study I'm familiar with, a billionaire that I dined with in California, described his research looking at 10 chemicals and 100 of their combinations. And there's much more than 100 combinations of 1 to 100% of 10 chemicals. There are hundreds of thousands of combinations, but he found 3 new, over a 3-year study, 3 new class 3 carcinogens, which means it gives cancer to animals, and it's a little less ethical in that time period to prove that new chemical that was created for the other chemicals mixing, and there's no research on that. So we can understand there's a problem there. So this is our opportunity to produce that chemical-free food in our own garden. And of course, we need to understand how to grow, and that's why we have this whole nutrition gardening programs and so forth, teaching people who haven't gardened before how you can grow this nutrient-dense food without the pest and disease pressure. You can see there isn't any pest and disease pressure. There's white butterflies in there, but there's not many holes on anything. It's high bricks, and it's wonderful from that perspective. Just continuing that story, I mean, shelf life, many people don't realise that, say a snow pea, we've got some peas at the back there, a snow pea loses 50% of its vitamin C in the first 12 hours after harvest. Now, most of what you're eating, unless you're going to farmers markets, which is what makes them so cool, because they were harvested that morning or the day before, but basically that snow pea was a few days old, so it's lost more than 50%. I mean, corn is the fastest known loser of nutrients. In 20 minutes, it loses 40% of its nutrition. So if you've got your own garden and you're growing corn, you boil your water, you put some good mineralized mountain salt in there, and you go out and pluck your corn, drop it in there for 9 minutes, pull it out, smother it in butter, and oh my God, you're eating champagne food, and you would never have tasted corn like that. That's corn at its champagne best. And all of your food, you know, you don't make a salad, although I do fall guilty on that front myself sometimes because I'm too busy. But you don't make a salad and then leave the other half for the next day. You've got the luxury of making a salad every day and having everything at its most nutrient dense. So you want to have the compost, you want to make sure there's lime in there, that you've got a good pH and the sort of things that we teach relative to producing good food. And you're growing this wonderful thing and you're going to enjoy it. It's so much fun. You just never get tired of it. So yeah, maybe you can, maybe there's also a few things about some of the things you might grow. I mean, we're growing quite a few bushes of parsley here, for example. Now, 1 in 3 of us has got high blood pressure. And I had a German naturopath, a 96-year-old, attend one of my courses. She said, look, in 47% of my blood pressure patients, the other half are usually a low magnesium, and even just Epsom salts baths or transdermal spray on magnesium will address that issue for them because it's much more efficient than going through the gut. One of the symptoms of magnesium deficiency is you can't absorb it through your gut if it's long term, if it's chronic. But this woman said parsley, of course, the most popular of all herbs, is a wonderful kidney tonic, and about half of the blood pressure, when we get back to root causes, is linked to the kidneys, which aren't what they used to be. It used to be 1 in 10 people died from kidney failure in intensive care. It's now 1 in 4. There's a link to glyphosate, but we won't go there. So the story is that you just chop up some parsley and you have like a couple of tablespoons and you pour hot water. It's called steeping. That's how you make all herbal teas. 10 minutes and you drink that, and you do that for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 times a day. And she says she's had remarkable results, and lots of people who I've shared that with have mentioned their results. So parsley is an essential in your ultimate wellness tool, the home garden.
So
Yeah, Claudia, can you chat about a couple of other uses of things?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the wicking bed though.
Okay.
Yeah, so the wicking bed principle, I think, is a really important point. Is like, if I go to the Sunshine Coast and I look around and I go, why would you have a wicking bed? Because you got so much water, unless you have no place to put anything. But the wicking bed principle can be put into, like, the little rolling tubs that you can buy in the cheap shops. You can make wicking beds into that. You can have a wicking bed on your balcony. It hasn't got to be big, And it's like horses for courses. Some people have only got balconies and they go, oh no, I can't do any. But you could have a herb garden. You could have parsley and chives and lemon thyme that we got. You could have a couple of chili plants, and it's right there, and it is such a satisfying, wonderful feeling to have a wicking bed. I think that it's really important to why are we doing this? It's not because I just had the opportunity. It's because I've been through the biggest drought a few years ago, and we had no water. My daughter has a restaurant. We wanted to keep the gardens going, and it was a real struggle to have to keep the water up in the drought into the garden. So this is a really good opportunity. The other thing I need to say is one must be very mindful when you build a wicking bed. If you build it into an IBC, that's cool to build, but then you can't move it. So you have to be really thoughtful about, where am I going to put this? Because that stays there until you start dismantling the whole thing, because most people don't have a forklift.
And remembering that in that instance that you need sun to grow veggies. So you don't put it in a shady corner under a tree. You need sun. And if you do have an issue with an IBC, it's very simple to put a star picket on each corner, put on a piece of water pipe, flexible black water pipe, and put some shade cloth over that to get through the heat of summer.
So if you put a style picket, like a fence post, into the ground, you have to have a 2-inch poly pipe. Otherwise, it won't go over the top of the style picket. So if you don't have 1.5 inch, it won't work for you.
Yeah.
So that's really important. That's
okay,
it.
So you wanted to mention a few other uses of things, perhaps, as a chef, that she can tell you about things that you didn't think you could eat. They say, why would you let these spring onions go to flower?
Yes, so these ones here are too far gone. But the onion family, garlic, onion, chives, and they are a fabulous family. And when they shoot up their little flower pods, you have to get it early. So when they just come out, and you can pick one of them and make all of your salad, like your tossed salad, whatever, and then you take a scissor and just cut the little heads off and sprinkle them over the top. Not only does it look wonderful, but it's also fabulous in flavour.
Well, see, understand the allium family, of course. That family is just ridiculous. I mean, one study, when I was working on this research on prostate health, they found 71% reduction in all forms of cancer from one spring onion a day. It was a tremendous study. It was 72,000 people. It was like hard to believe, but it was what it was. But what we've got to realise when we talk about flowers, now one of the products that we make, for value-added products, is this concept of taking the flower of the garlic, same family, and what we realised when we analysed it is that the plant's there to reproduce. And so what you've got there is everything it's got pumped into that flower because it wants to reproduce. So all of the goodies that are found in alliums, and there's plenty of them, these sulfur-based compounds, are concentrated in that flower. So not only is it pretty and it tastes good, but it's really, really good for you. So that's a really good tip.
So then this, for instance, is a Mizuna, and it grows the little flowers, and they can be put in your salad. So any like bok choy, wombok, or any of those that go into flower, even if you, the radish family, if they go to flower, you can use all those flowers in your salads or as decoration, and they're beautiful and yummy to eat. Also,
one thing we don't have here, but we've got elsewhere in the garden, but I can't think of the name of it, but that's the one that you use and that Clarissa uses in the restaurant.
Purslane?
No, the creeping flower, that little flower that you use is somewhere in the back there.
Oh, nasturtium.
Yeah, so nasturtium should be in here, and we'll put some.
Well, I don't want to put them there because they crawl everywhere. So this is a rotating sort of garden.
Yeah.
The nasturtium bed can be somewhere else because we garden lots of places, but this is more the food that we eat, and we don't have to bend over. We can come out here in the afternoon and just pick a few leaves of the lettuce, some parsley, some beans, and it's really good. The other thing I would like to mention is I feel that people with home gardens, and when the spring comes, we get all this enthusiasm about, we've got to plant lots of stuff, and then summer comes and everything gets away with growing, and we can't look after it. So I think in small portions. So what you see in here is that we're 2 people and half the week we're not even here. So planting too much of anything is like too much, and then it just goes to waste. So there's a concept that's called square foot gardening, and it's a really good thing to look at. When you're gardening, I think it's it's an awareness of, like if we plant some zucchinis, we plant 2 plants of zucchinis for a family, and then in a month's time plant another 2.
Yeah,
because if you plant too many of one thing, you got a glut of everything, and people a lot of times haven't got time to pickle or preserve anything. And so food goes to waste that it doesn't really need to be.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that wraps up our little talk about growing your own food and the potential of wicking beds, which is a tremendous thing. They're really part of the drought-proofing model. We're moving into a world of extremes everywhere that I travel and everywhere that we're working, of more and more extremes. And this kind of thing is a wonderful kind of solution for that, particularly for home food production, which will become more and more important as time passes. We see so many stresses on the vegetable and fruit growers from every level, and it's getting harder and harder to grow, that you really need to have this as your kind of protective mechanism. Grow your own food, have your own system to produce food, and it's your own security for yourself and your family and your health and well-being. Okay, thank you.